And as you can tell from listening to me, I am from the East Coast, Virginia, from the southern states. I think that's why I was chosen to do the traditional aspect of Christmas. And I think nationwide, though, that traditional Christmas is something that we all go back to because of our childhood memories, of family, of the movies that we see and love on TV. I've even had customers who would come in and say, I want to do something totally different this year. They'll go with the look that Bill showed you earlier, something really contemporary. It lasts for a year, maybe two, and they're back to tradition. So it is something that is very easy. It almost sells itself. You've just got to do a good job of merchandising it. That is my background, not only at the markets, but also in my own store. I think we as retail florists have been very, very slow to change. The mass merchandisers, we fuss about them all the time, yet we won't even take a cue from them, and we won't even try to make a difference. We do what we do year after year, and it's beginning not to work, so we're fussing about it instead of doing something about it. In my store, one of my biggest pet peeves is to go into any store in the world and pick something up and turn it around about 4 times and discover that there is no price tag on it. Normally I'm going to set this down because I'm afraid that if I take it up to you and ask you as the manager, how much is this, I'm going to be expecting you to say $25 and you're going to be saying $125. And then I'm going to be embarrassed to say, no thank you, or something like that. So it's very, very important to me, and we all know that there are little elves that come in our shops at night and remove those tags. So always make certain that your display pieces are made to be sold. Don't create display pieces just for display, because the first thing someone's going to do is come into your shop and ask you, and you're going to say, I'm not sure. And you're either going to do one of two things. You're going to way overprice it, and they're not going to buy it, or you're going to try to come out with a price just off the top of your head, and you're going to say it's $100, and then you go back and count, well, that garland really had $250 in it. So be sure that anything you do is very user-friendly. Ralph mentioned about merchandising underneath our trees. Yes, that's very important, but we've got to remember that we are designers. We know, because we have the vision to see what it looks like. We know what this looks like when it gets fluffed out, which is this item right here. This item looks like $6.75. This item doesn't look like $1. So we have to be sure that we merchandise it and that our customers know what it looks like so that they know what they're buying. They can buy it from the tree, they can buy it singly, it's priced singly, but they can also buy it as a nice gift basket to give to someone that can either be delivered from your store or purchased and taken home with them. But you've given them multiple ways of purchasing something. Very quick and easy to do. This happens to be a box of ornaments that came, this is the box it came in. And it is the glittered pine cone assortment. Quick and easy, a little bit of adornment to it. Anything in our showroom we like to embellish. How many of you go into a friend's home, or God forbid your own home, have a lovely candle stand sitting in there bare naked? No candle on it, no anything. In your own store, you need to be able to, you need to be sure to market it as nice as possible. Give them something, you know, that's going to draw your customer's attention a lot quicker. It has a candle, it's priced, the stand is priced. The little touch that you added to it is priced, but it's a finished product. Make sure that that you offer it that way. Now, we're all retail florists, and yet we go into drugstores. We got every imaginable store in the world sells ribbon during the holidays. We are the ones that should be selling it because we know what to do with it. Where is our ribbon kept, though? In the back workroom. These aren't in the arrangements necessarily. But because I felt like they still had that warm red, green, and gold traditional feeling, I'm still marketing them up under those trees. We only have so much room in our store for trees. So therefore, we've got to utilize them to the best advantage. Add some other things. There are ribbons here that are not included in anything, but they're red and gold, and so therefore they're included in this. Speak about tradition for just a moment. Most people would not consider this a traditional Christmas flower, but it has a very warm feel to it. It has a velvet texture. This gold glittered, but a calla lily, is that traditional? Yes, it is. And just because you're doing traditional designs doesn't mean that they have to be little round muzzy tuzzies or just a round wreath or a straight swag. You can still incorporate your talent into it. The last thing I'd like to talk about on this segment is the lighting. I know Ralph touched on it a little bit. Most people would have a tendency, when I got here, this mantelpiece was sitting over here in the middle of the floor, and they said, here, that's for you to use. 9 times out of 10, it would have went straight into the center of the wall and had a tree on one side or a tree on either side. But I chose to soften my booth with it just a little bit. Give it some round so that your eyes follow all the way around and go into the Christmas tree. That also allowed me to go behind the mantelpiece and do some uplighting, because everything in this booth, there's no way to light it all, and lighted things do show up much better. The golden geese they're just absolutely beautiful product, but just that little bit of light behind them and the light shining on them increased their value threefold. So remember how important it is to keep everything in your booth lit as much as possible. We've all been walking down the sidewalk and saw some poor little flat butterfly. This is a $2.85 product that doesn't really even look $2.85 when you pull it out of its sleeve. But, again, we're designers. It goes back to the poinsettia pick. We have got to display it properly so that, yes, it is a $2.85 product. It looks gorgeous with just a little bit of effort and a little bit of time. Take a look as you go by the tree. We left some fluffed and some unfluffed, and you'll see the difference. The unfluffed ones are not going to sell themselves, whereas these will. Finally, on this one, I'm going to make one more. On the East Coast, Hex is a very large department store chain. It's part of the Macy's umbrella. They're always used as anchor stores in our malls, which means they have 5, 6, 7 outside entrances into their store. When you go through those doors, they usually have anywhere from 5 to 10 round tops with one nice gift item on each round top with the boxes already wrapped, ready to go. Why don't we do that? This tree, unadorned, is not a very pretty tree. Has wide open branches and a lot of space in it. But that allows me to be able to go in with the larger ornaments, the large finials, and it gives you an area to display. This tree is a very compact, fluffy tree. Can you imagine what this red finial ornament, how much on a really fluffy tree, that's going to end up sticking out just like that. And that's not what you have in mind when you purchase this. So keep in mind your trees when you're looking at them and when you're deciding what you're going to do with them. If you noticed on the other side of the tree, I do like large things in Christmas trees. I like really, for the most part, heavily decorated Christmas trees. If you're going to sell from it, you don't want an hour's worth of sales to make your tree look bare. So overstuff it, put plenty of product in it, but I also like to have big things that normally are not associated with Christmas trees, such as the reindeer standing in this tree, the reindeer leaping from the other side of the tree. And I'm also keeping in mind, I kept this tree real simple. It's a very simple tree. This tree is beautiful by itself. And all we did was put several dozen of the red birds on it because we added a couple of other ornaments to it and it lost its effect entirely. So we took those back off, went with just the red birds, and it just jumps at you. It also allows you that hopefully these reindeer are going to sell very quickly. You may not have but 6 or a dozen in your stock. So this allows me to change over very quickly to the 2 Santas in the back. They can come in and just fill these holes. It can also cross over to snowmen, candy, any theme like that. So keep that in mind as you're going, because hopefully you're going to be selling this stuff all along and you need to be able to refurbish it. The one area that I do say that mainstream stores have over us, and sometimes it's the fact that they have more stock. They do take the time to always monitor and keep their showroom clean. And I'm going to admit, I'm bad about it myself. We get really busy, we have weddings, funerals, whatever, and all of a sudden our showroom looks really tired. So keep that in mind, make that your first and your last thing each day. Assign someone to it. Say, now before you leave, it's worth the 15 minutes overtime. Keep your merchandising area very clean and user-friendly. You know, I use this snow. Yes, it's going to be a nightmare for at least 2 or 3 months in my store. We're going to vacuum twice a day and get it up. But look how easy, it's very easy to refurbish and give it an all-new look. We're going to move over to what a lot of people would consider non-traditional. But because, in my way of looking, we have very little real estate in our shop again. When you take these ornaments apart or separate them and lay them out on the floor, they aren't even really pretty together. But once you go to working with them and put them on the tree and adding it, it's all just different, really warm, soothing colors. Bringing out some of the ornaments, like Ralph did with the reveal and conceal, it lets those ornaments stand alone so that your customers can see what they do look like by themselves, and it gives them an idea of what they can do with things, where they can hang them from. Just simple things like that can really increase your sales. Again, some of the things I want to make sure of is that my merchandising always stays refurbished. Make sure those baskets are full, and make sure that they see your product and know where to find it. So, I'd like to thank you.